How's it going, everybody? Owen here at Wildwater Studios with the one and only Mr. Neville Martin.
Thank you.
We've just finished tracking guitars on Neville's debut album, and now we're going to do a bit of a rig rundown.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about wanting to know about the guitars that we're using, and even on previous videos and stuff, and the amp and pedals and stuff. So I thought this was a good time, since we're in the studio with Owen, that we could get the camera out and do a little video for you. So hope you enjoy.
Okay, so Neville, take us through some of the guitars that you used on this album here.
So I brought a few guitars up, and we've actually sort of just used 3 electrics and the 1 acoustic guitar. So this is the one I think we've used this maybe the most for the lead parts. It's I think it's a 1960s sandblasted Strat, made by Paul Waller in the Fender Custom Shop, and it's an amazing guitar. We call it Sandy. It's on loan from a very good friend, as most of these guitars are. And I think even you were really impressed this morning when you were playing this, because the neck just feels so good on it.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's so lively, and it's a lot more aggressive sounding than the white guitar, which is a Jimmy Vaughan, which we'll get to in a minute. But this sounded really good when we were recording it, and we ended up just using it quite a bit on some of the solos. But it's definitely an aggressive guitar.
Beautiful.
And it's just wonderful and very lively, as I say, nice and light. The other guitar we used on one of the tracks, which is I think one of my favorites, which is like a B.B. King kind of thing, which is called A Little Bit of Nothing. It's an original, again, on loan from a good friend, 1967, I think. It's an AS345, which was originally stereo, which is the guitar that Freddie King used, and I think B.B. King used one for a while. But the thing I like about this year is Gibson went to a very narrow nut on this. So it's a lot narrower than the standard sort of typical 60s reissue Gibson ES guitars. And it has this really cool variac control, which is like a funky kind of, almost like a phase thing in it. So we used that, and it sounded really good as well. Great woody sound to that.
So you've got 6 different settings on that switch?
You have. Now, I think we went through them all, and we chose number 2. That seemed to be the one that we liked. And then I did a bit of research, and that's the one that B.B. King used in his baritone as well. So it has that sort of late 60s Pentecost to be the boss kind of sound. So we'll go to this one, which is still plugged in, which shows you how much we used it, which is, again, a custom shop. This is a Jimmy Vaughan reissue, one-off by John, or not a one-off, it's one of, I think, 15 or 30 made by John Cruz in the custom shop. And again, this is just an amazing guitar. I've used this in a lot of videos previously. And we did a lot of the slower bluesy stuff with this. It was a bit sweeter sounding. Mm-hmm. And I think we did all the backing guitar parts with this as well.
Yes.
So it's a great guitar, so easy to play, very comfortable.
Beautiful.
And then the odd guitar, which I don't play a lot of, which is acoustic, and this is from a good friend, again, different friend, but she's lent me this amazing Loudon. I'm not sure the model. I think it says, yes, it's an S model, it's an S340, I believe.
Wow.
But it sounded amazing when we were recording yesterday, didn't it?
That's incredible.
So I guess it's like a parlor-sized guitar. Just has that lovely, it's just that, It's a great guitar. So light, it's almost nothing at all.
Amazing projection.
And of course, made in Ireland as well. Made 10 minutes from where I live in County Down. So it's great to keep it in the family, so to speak. And that's the guitars, pretty much. We kept it real simple, and there's a few more outside, but we just stuck with what we knew worked and what we think sounded the best, and we're happy with the results so far.
So you have a very simple board that you're going into?
Yeah. People ask about the pedal board, and I think a lot of people think it's all in the pedals, but it's not really. This is a tuner, so it's a Peterson Strobo Stomp tuner. Mm-hmm. That's all that is. When I wanted to use a bit of drive, as you know earlier on, just to make the amp sound that it was a little bit more breaking up, and I would crank the amp upstairs. But if I needed a little bit more gain, I used one of the channels in this. This is a 1987 Pro, which is from my good friend Salvatore in Volta Electronics in Italy. Mm-hmm. And he makes amazing stuff. And it's the most amp-like pedal that I've ever used for overdrive. So it's a 1987 Pro, and it just sounds amazing. And just, again, if you just want that little bit of amp sound that doesn't, sound like a pedal, it just sounds like the amp's been turned up, really. That's really all it does.
Okay.
It does a lot more than that, but that's what I use it for. And then I go into the reverb, which is a Catalan-bred Talisman, which is a plate reverb based on like an EMT plate from the 70s. And then I mix it with this Topanga. which is like a spring kind of 50s, 60s reverb kind of thing, which has that big splashy sound. And then something happens when you mix the two of them together and it comes out sounding really nice and there's nice spread on it. And that's it. And there's a volume pedal. We're going to use that for some swells and stuff, but that's it really.
Cool. So we're in the attic space here at Wildwater Studios. Very sophisticated, very high-tech, futuristic. And we're looking at this wonderful, beautiful amp from Black Volt. Tell us a bit about this, Neville.
So I met Gio and Tony, Gio's wife, in the NAMM show in 2022. Actually, around the same time I met you. I think it's the same day. And I was over with friends from Thermion, and we were had a stand. I was doing some demos, and across from us was Black Volt. And as soon as I saw these crazy-looking amps, I just went straight over and started chatting to Gio and met him and got on really well. And he offered, for me to play some of them, and ended up really, really liking the sound and the style of these amps. And then we just kept in touch whenever I came back home, and we were able to sort of deal out where he built this amp for me and voiced it exactly for my playing. I could never be happier. We've got mic'd here. What are you using for the mics in this? We've got a 57 and a
Bayer M160. So the classic combination of a SM57 and a ribbon mic. A shout out to the guys at Bayer Dynamic. They're good friends of mine. They're fantastic mics. So I like that combination because you've got a lot to choose from, and you've got a magnificent blend. And this amp, as you know, we did about 3 milliseconds of preparation to get a good tone.
Literally just brought it up here, turned it on, put a fan behind it because we've got it cooking, and you stuck the mics in front of it, and that was it. And there wasn't even any EQ at the desk or anything.
No.
It was all perfect.
No, it's a stunning sounding amp. It sounds absolutely amazing, and it's a wonderful thing for me as a producer to get somebody coming in like Neville who knows exactly what they want and has the necessary gear to achieve that. So a bit of a dream for me.
And also, I think it's worth pointing out the hand-painted skull, the sugar skull, the Mexican skull. That's done by Tony Ellis, which is Gio's wife, and she's great, and she hand-painted this for me. And I think that adds a bit of extra mojo for it.
Definitely.
The tone's definitely in the grill cloth, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The tone's in the grill.
Do you want to come around the back and see what we've
look.
got here? Because it's really, really simple. I, as you've come to know, I'm not somebody who likes complicated things, and you can see we've got setting, and we've turned the volume up to 9. We've got the this is the Triple X, which we haven't used actually at the moment because we've got the amp cranked. What that does is when you can't crank the amp, you can get a little bit more gain at a lower volume. So we've got that's the tone at 9, and then we've got the volume at 6. I've got these vintage 1960s Brymer tubes in there, which are 6V6s. You can run it on 6L6s as well. And then there's the Celestian Gold Alnico speaker, which is something similar to what they would have put in the Vox AC30s, but I think it's like a higher powered version of the Alnico Blues. And then, of course, Hammond transformers and stuff. And it's so quiet even when it's running. And just records amazing, and it's loud. And I think the 200-year-old cabinet as well, which is all hand crafted and built, all hand built in Los Angeles by Gio and his team. And they're just amazing people, and just I couldn't think of playing anything else, to be honest. So
yeah, well, typically what the setup we run here is 2 speakers, 2 different cabs, and in this case, everything was in the Black Volt.
we didn't use a separate amp at all.
No, not at all.
Normally you blend stuff, but we just did it and that sounded great, and that was it. And we got to work and didn't have to think too much about what else we were going to do. So
exactly.
So you get good gear and good guitars and a good engineer and a good studio, and half the work's done. So it's been a joy. The whole last few days has been wonderful.
Great stuff.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well we'll go downstairs and have a look at where we're going from the amp. So to pair Neville's guitar tone with the right preamp was essential, and I have the wonderful Heritage Audio Super 8 here, which is basically 8 1073s in a box. So we have Neville's ribbon SM57 and another mic in the echo chamber, miking his guitar, going into the wonderful Heritage Audio, and then out into the computer where we're going over into Pro Tools. So from Pro Tools, we're getting our little bits of EQ in that back through this amazing Soundcraft 2400 desk. This desk has a rich history of recording some incredible musicians like Townes Van Zandt and the Cranberries, Donovan, and Elmer Martin. So and that's where we're ending up. So will we give a wee teaser? We'll let people hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You want to keep some up?
What would you like to?
Just cue up the last thing we were doing, which I think is Dead of Night. We're letting the song titles out now as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna cause a lot.
Just the end part with the guitar solo and stuff.
Yeah, cool, man. Let's go from
Crank
here.
it. Sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Owen. Thanks for doing this video.
You want to hear any more? You have to pay.
Buy the album, you'll hear it all there.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys.